I don't think I'll press live here or whatever because it's going now. I don't care who they play, bro. I'm like anti United. I don't care if they play a championship team. I'm to whoever they play, whoever plays against them, I'm on the other team.
Exactly. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
Let me just say this is so before you go into the predictions and a bit of Arsenal. I if someone is 25 and older and he supports Man City, I do not take whatever he says about football serious.
Because there weren't a lot of, the truth is, I will be honest, I growing up, right, I followed football for a long time. I don't know any Manchester City fan,
That's my
right?
point.
If
If I see
anybody's a
someone,
Manchester City
yeah,
fan, they're probably a new fan, right? Except it's like like a much older person, then they tell you they've been supporting for a long time, then it's just like one in like 1,000. But like
yes,
a lot of these young people, they just like caught on the wave of Man City, Pep
that's what I'm
Guardiola
saying.
and all
If
that.
they want to talk about football, I'm like, dude, I don't want to be
You've
nasty with
got
you.
no history, man. You should keep quiet.
That's what I'm saying. No, I can't take him on when he speaks about stats or he speaks about this. I don't take anything serious. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You watched soccer 2 years ago. I don't. Whatever you're gonna say, it's invalid to me, bro. I can't listen to you.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I mean, a few months ago you had Guardiola still like telling their fans like, please come watch us. Please come to the stadiums, right? And you're like, I finished eighth position and the Emirates is still filled up all the time. Do you see?
When we play a Carabao Cup on a Tuesday night, 48,000 tickets sold
Do you understand? That's massive, man.
on a Tuesday night. Not a big game. It's a Carabao Cup. We're playing some Wimbledon thingy we played, and no one knows the players of that team. It doesn't
But
matter,
people
bro.
still show up,
And
exactly.
people still, and it's not tickets. No, it's tickets sold. We don't know who's going to show up as Tuesday night, but
But the
tickets
tickets
sold
sold at least, yeah.
48,000.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So let's go on to what's your predictions for the week. It's week 14. All the games are clamped up in this week.
Yes, I think the games have. I mean, I was right before I joined the show. I was on one side watching a few of the games that are on at the moment. I know there's Newcastle, Norwich. Last time I checked, I know that I think Norwich had just equalized because Newcastle was leading that game. And I know there's also like Leeds United and Crystal Palace also
Yeah.
playing at the moment. So those are going on. But I think I talk about some of the other games. I will probably start with Arsenal United because that's the one that I cared the most about.
Yes, of course.
For me, I'm very optimistic about that game. Right, I say this with a lot of carefulness, right, because I think that as good as I know Arsenal were sort of like up and coming, we had a very terrible start to the season, but we've improved significantly since then. But for all of the improvements that we've made, I still don't think that we have hit that like attacking stride that we can go and like attack teams and like really, really get them scared, right? We will create a few chances here and there. I mean, we do have brilliant attackers, Bukayo Saka, Emil Smith Rowe, Lacazette when he's on the pitch, he slots in well and he does a good job. I mean, Aubameyang would always be a lethal finisher, right? So we do have some brilliant attacking players, and we have men like Nuno Tavares now on the wing who is in form at the moment. You have like Pate and Sambi Lokonga who would take a few shots. Pate also can make some really brilliant passes. I saw Sambi do that a few times as well. We have Ben White who can carry the ball from behind and try to drive into the midfield and create a chance. So we do have some like decent players that can create chances, but I don't think we have that attacking
Agreed.
cohesiveness just yet. But Manchester United are not an interest. They're not a good team at the moment, right? I mean, with all due respect to their club, but like they're not doing well at the moment, and they have a new manager who his first game in charge will be against us now. I just don't think that like it would have gotten them in shape already that they can now like all of a sudden pose a great challenge. I mean, there will be see Ronaldo, for example, might be offended that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or yesterday and decided to take that revenge out on Arsenal. There's always that chance. But I do think that at the moment we are the team in the better form. We are solid defensively, especially against sides that aren't scoring a lot of goals. So I think we can edge it. We won't beat them like 4-0 or 3-1 or something, but I think that we can get like 2-1.
I say the same thing.
I would say 2-1 because they can't score. But
Yeah.
I would say like 2-1. Also, I know it's Old Trafford, right? We're playing them at home, so there might be a bit of like pride for them in there. But I still think we can edge it 2-1. So I'll predict 2-1 for the Arsenal game.
Dude, I hope they come a bit with the energy of pride and well, and because Arsenal play wow when the team attacks them. When we
True.
dictate the
I agree
play,
with
when we
that.
dictate the play, we're confused. Then you can see the immaturity. It's not the whole Man City. They keep on probing, and then suddenly a ball goes through the Blainer Smarts, a smart run from Gundogan. You can see they're still learning because they're young. So when we're playing, when you force our hand, when you attack and we break, then Odegaard slips the ball to Smith Rowe, Shaka does something, boom, 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 then things happen. But when we dictate play and we're passing the ball
Yeah,
around, you
you're
can see
absolutely correct, right? I've never heard anybody say it that way before, but like now I think about it, when we dictate the play, we're abysmal. It's the worst. Like,
when you're frustrated, you're like, come on, can't you thread the ball through? Can't you think of something to that's when you see the immaturity. Where like Cancelo at City, he probes the through balls. I mean, this guy's assist. How many assists from left back?
the
But he goes to
guys,
center. But he goes to center midfield when they attack. When the Shevchenko plays, a left back Shevchenko will go to the wing. But when Cancelo plays left back, he adds another number to midfield.
true.
Another dude has assist. I'm like, this guy's assist
It's
from what?
dangerous, and he takes some dangerous shots as well. You're like, that is a baller right there, right? And you're so right. Like when Arsenal dictate, when we have the ball, we just like it's just bad, you know. Sometimes I'm watching. I remember watching us against like Brighton and Crystal Palace, and I'm like, why are we playing like this? Why are you guys so poor?
Arsenal can't dictate play, bro. It's the Leicester, the Tottenham. They attack and then we go and it's speed and pace and then we boop and then we score.
True. That is so true.
Dude, I want to say this. I'm saying this to a lot of oaks. I meet them in the gym. Wherever. I want to say this. What do you think of? Let's say, what do you think of Saliba first? I don't watch his games, bro.
I've watched a few games for William Saliba. I've also watched a lot of highlights because I follow him actively because I'm really interested in him and Guendouzi. I want to really see how they turn out, whether they play for Arsenal or not. But I really like those two players and I want to see where they turn out. So I just like actively check what they're doing. So with Saliba, right? Saliba is, if I'm correct, is what, 20 years old now?
20?
Yeah. The future is bright for him, right? I've watched him play and he's a bit rough on the edges, right? Like you said yesterday about some of our young players, they won't perform, they don't give you 100% week in, week out, right? They will have some games where they slip up. Saliba has had, I can't remember who they played recently a few weeks ago where he had a terrible game, right? So it would have games like that sometimes. But I tell you, 70% of the time, he is a starter for Marcel. Like they don't drop him. It starts week in, week out. He doesn't play absolutely well week in, week out. But like he has dominated and like commanded his spot, a permanent spot in that defensive line in Marcel, right? And they're not doing too badly in the league. I think they're 4th or 5th in the league at the moment, right? So when I look at Saliba, I see a guy who can potentially be a starter for Arsenal in defense. And see, the way I think about it is this, right? If you look at Manchester City, and they're a good example of this, in my opinion, because they have a fantastic squad and they have a lot of depth in their squad, right? In almost every position, you can pick out 2 quality players. Almost every position, right? He's not scared to have De Bruyne and have Gundogan and Bernardo Silva in the same team. They're not going to play together in every single game. But because you have the Premier League, you have the Champions League, you have the Carabao Cup, you have the FA Cup, there's so many games that you're playing that everybody will play, right? And so I'm not scared of having, because some people are saying, oh, if Saliba comes back, you already have Ben White and Gabriel. I'm like, okay, then I have Saliba as well. And like, if one of them can play, I'm confident that there's a good alternative, right? And it's left to the manager to like sort of like distribute the game time in a way where everybody can stay fit and nobody is disgruntled. But I'm happy, like I want Saliba back at Arsenal, right? Because I think he's a good defender. He is one of those, he's clean. If his technique is very clean, he's not like a rough defender that is going to give away a lot of fouls. He's not. His technique is very clean. There's a popular, I don't know if you remember that popular challenge against, I think it was Mbappe.
Mbappe, the slide tackle.
It does those kinds of things on a regular basis. Very clean tackles. I remember the season we got him from Saint Etienne. He was the only defender that had not given away a single foul in the league. Wow. That's how it was. I don't know where he got his defensive training from, but like he's very clean in defense, right? It won't give you, and then he can drive with the ball. That thing that Ben White does, I don't think he does it as well as Ben White, but he has that ability as well, right? He can drive, create chances. He's tall enough. He can run.
Well, I'm asking you that. What do you think? You just said about the squad thing. What do you think when we play a Carabao Cup or FA Cup? What do you think Saliba playing next to his fellow Brazilian, Gabriel, and Ben White pushes to holding midfield?
Actually, that wouldn't be bad, because Ben White, sometimes I look at that guy and say, this guy can easily be a midfielder. Easily, right? Because he has that ability to protect the ball and find like little spaces to drive into, right? And like that wouldn't be bad to have in a I think this is, I always, when David Luiz was at Arsenal, I always said to him, said to people, I want to see us try this guy in a midfield position. In defense, because while he's an okay defender, he will make so many mistakes in defense. And because it's the last line of defense, if he makes that mistake, he has given away a goal. If he makes those mistakes in midfield, at least there are people behind him who can still cover up for him. But the thing we needed him for the most was that passing ability, that ability to find Aubameyang with long passes. So move him a bit higher up the pitch and let him, let him have a creative role. Obviously, he's still a defender, so he will still be able to do some defensive job for you. But at least you would emphasize on his strength, which is that passing ability. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like I wouldn't mind that as an experiment. Again, in the Carabao Cup is where you can do this kind of experiments and just test out these new ideas. And I think that would be a fantastic idea to test.
I've heard Ben White. I've never seen him. People say he can play right back. People say he played a center holding midfield. Dude, and I don't think he can do I think he can do what Henderson does for us.
I think so as well. I don't know about like his like shooting ability or like that just yet, but obviously as a defender, you hardly see that.
He's 23. Yeah,
it would get better.
It would get better. He's 23. It's a long way to go.
For me, this is one of the things that. So if you listen to me a lot, I'm very critical of Mikel Arteta. I would not lie, but I do give him credit for a number of things he has done. So I think the squad is building. Great job. I have to hand that. Only Odegaard. Odegaard is the only signing that I'm still not sure of. I mean, from all the signings we got in the summer, Odegaard is the only one that I'm still not sure of. His previous signings, when he was signing people like Pablo Mari and Cedric and some of these guys that haven't really worked out well. I mean, like, he should take the blame.
33? 33? 33 that hasn't worked out.
Yeah, those two haven't worked out. Willian as well. Willian was a disaster.
Okay, this is my theory. This is my theory on William. This is my theory, dude. I'm telling you, how the African Oaks are. These black guys, our brothers. I'm thinking that guy's 40. Bro.
He's 40.
Dude, you can't take a dip. William at Arsenal couldn't run past someone. He's on the left. He gets the ball. He goes and then he pulls it back. I'm like, yo, take.
I saw. Yeah, funny thing is when we signed Willian, a lot of Chelsea fans that were my friends, they were laughing at us. And they said simply because, I mean, they've had Willian at Chelsea for a long time. It was arguably their best player the season before he joined, right? But they said still that Willian is not dependable. He would have 2-3 great games, and then he will have a lot of bad games. And when people who watch him every week say that, I don't take that as a joke, right? Right. I know we were very optimistic that it will be different for us at Arsenal, but we saw it at Arsenal. It started well. Against Fulham, he killed Fulham, right? But then everything sort of just shut down after that.
Like I'm saying, I'm thinking he didn't have the legs. He couldn't pass someone.
He just didn't have the legs.
He couldn't pass the player. He couldn't pass him. He gets the ball. He plays sideways.
And he's right. He used to do this brilliant thing at Chelsea where, like, from the wing, it will cut into the middle and just shoot and score. I'm like, where is that now?
So I'm thinking this dude's 40 years old.
It's probably another person that I think is in his 50s is Thomas Partey. I think that man is in his 50s, man. Because man, sometimes you watch Thomas Partey and like, what is wrong? How old are you? What is wrong with you? But yeah, I won't be surprised if they're older than they claim to be. But Willian was just a disaster at Arsenal. It was really painful. It was painful for me because I think signing Willian when we signed him, he ruined the development of Reiss Nelson, if you ask me, because prior to that, the season before that, I will never forget, under Mikel Arteta, the first time we beat Liverpool under Arteta, it was Reiss Nelson and Lacazette that combined they really, really dealt with Liverpool that day. And Reiss Nelson was starting to get game time. It was starting to improve. You know, he was getting a few goals and assists here and there. And I was thinking, okay, now next season, let's build on what this guy is doing, because we've always known that there's a player there. Let's build on it, right? And then you go on and bring Willian. And the moment you bring Willian, Nelson can't get in the team again because there's already Pepe, Bukayo Saka, who are players who play on that right wing sometimes, and you want them to get game time. But now Nelson is just not going to get any game time anymore. And till today, I don't think that you can see that Nelson has pretty much declined since then because he just was abandoned after that. So for me, it was really painful because sometimes, when you've watched these academy players for a long time, you get attached to them and you want them to do well, and when they don't, it just hurts.
And even though, let's say you got time and it didn't do that well, we could have sold it for 20 million.
You could have sold
20 million. For 20 million.
We can talk about Arsenal all day. This is another thing we've not done well. We've done so badly.
But I tell people, I actually like Arteta. I actually feel he'll do well. It's just the mess at Arsenal. Arteta's let 21 players go. It's a lot of work behind the scenes.
21? Are you serious?
21 players.
Oh, that's a lot. I didn't even know that.
That's my point. It's a lot of work. Yeah, William was like, okay, cool. Let's purchase William. He understands the Premier League. We expect him to do well from day one. That didn't work. You can't see in the future. You saw what me and you saw with William. And then suddenly got to William. It's like, what? So with Pablo Mari, the same. It's like, okay, let me try this. Oh, he's available. He's not that expensive. And Pep liked him. He was at City. Let me give him a chance. Mari is actually perfect, but he's actually too slow, so it's not perfect.
It's too slow, yeah.
You can't play against these Watkins Oaks.
These boys, like Bamfords and Watkins, they would embarrass you if you're too slow. They will actually embarrass you. You need to know it.
He's good on the ball. He's a good passer on the ball, but it's too slow. It's way too slow. It turns like a flippant bus, bro.
True.
When it turns, it's too late, bro. People are gone,
man. They passed you already. You're absolutely correct. Yeah.
So like I said, and I don't know who signed these players, bro. These 6 players, the Tomiyasu. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying that guy needs a raise, bro.
Whoever signed them, as a round of applause any day. I'm like, great. I didn't see it when it happened because I was like, Ramsdale. I'm like, why are we getting Ramsdale? But I'm like, oh my God, what a signing. This guy is the real deal. Whoever saw that he deserves a raise, like you said, right? Nuno Tavares, God, that guy is a beast.
And what upset me with the signings was, I'm like, was this planned? Why is it last minute? Was it planned? Was it intentional?
Exactly. Tomiyasu, like you just like brought him out of the blues. I didn't see that one coming.
Who's this guy? Now I'm like, YouTube, Belongia, what? Who's this oak? And dude, you could see the views just shot up because everyone was going to look.
Everybody's like trying to figure out what this guy is. True.
I'm like, whoever scouted him was like,
great job. I'm not gonna lie, like great, absolutely great job. Pretty much all the time. Even Ben White, because a lot of people complained, 50 million for Ben White. We should have spent that money elsewhere. But I mean, yeah, still an expensive signing, but like you have to give credit to that signing as well. He has, partnered with Gabriel perfectly.
But if you go on the average, our 2 centre backs cost 75 million.
Yeah, I mean Maguire cost 80 million.
Thank you. That's that point. If you go on the average, if you put Gabriel and Ben White together, and you see the figure, a 75, you'd be like, okay, I
Not
feel
so
good.
bad, actually. It's not so bad. But yeah, I mean, I give credit to this administration for this summer we had. They didn't buy like high name, like big name players, so to say, right? But every single player they bought, I mean, Odegaard still has a lot to prove, but like every other person has showed us the quality
Yeah.
that they have, and I think that
Who,
they can be
who
proud
of
of
the
that.
panel? Because we watch, what do we watch? We watch the EPL here. We don't watch BT on our DSTV, and we don't watch Sky. So I don't know who you watch on that side. Who of the panel do you hate the most that they always get on the panels when you before the match start on the telly?
Oh, those panels. Funny enough, I don't really like watch those panels. I'll be honest with you.
No, the
I don't
halftime
watch
chat.
those
So they
panels
do the halftime. They do the halftime chat or the
like the
pre-match
halftime
halftime.
ones. Let me see.
Yeah,
Who don't I like? I don't like all those like Man United legends, all those Gary Neville, Ferdinand that come on to talk or
I hear you.
scores. I don't rate those people.
I
Um,
dislike him, but I don't hate him. I hate them so.
you hate him, Sherwood? Are you saying?
I hate him.
I think he spits a lot of nonsense as well. Yeah, actually.
Thank you. So why I'm bringing him up? You just made my mind go boom. Why I'm bringing him up? The Ateta and the Edu, whoever, like I said, the scouts, whoever sat down and they're going to purchase these players, that was on theory. Maybe they're going to say there was practicality involved, but according to me, it's not practical if you didn't implement it yet. It's still theory. You still have this idea, this vision of you in the States now. People have this idea about the app, about this, about that. Like Instagram was a photo app. Dude, Instagram not a photo app.
It
Instagram is
wasn't initially.
just like it's a cool app. It's
Yeah.
a vanity app. It's a I'm popping app. It's look at me app. Just what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But it was created for on theory when the co-founders when they said they were part of photography, they love photography, and so I said to them, sat down and okay, cool, this is the theory, this is what we want to implement. But they don't know what's gonna work. But now when we see the team play, I'm like, dude, everyone that they sign, like as you say, a bit Odegaard now, but everyone that they sign, they're starting and they're doing exponentially well, right?
True.
And that is why I say that's where the tricky part comes in. I feel Ollie failed like that. He had an idea in his mind, but he just couldn't implement it. He had a vision, whatever his vision was. I like his vision because it meant United lost every week. I loved it.
You know, absolutely. I didn't mind it. You know, like let Ole stay. Why are you firing him? This man is doing exactly what we want him to be
I'm like,
doing.
he's a club legend, babyface, assassin. Keep him, keep him.
Yeah.
So that's why people like that, like Tim, they got this whole theoretical brain how it should be. But when he coached Tottenham, he sucked.
He sucked at it. Like he did a terrible job at Spurs.
Because they got this theory of how the world should be, or how the game should be played, or what Ateta should do. But I tell people, dude, this guy's let go of 21 players. He came into a mess with Mesut Ozil. He came into a mess with Guendouzi. Ozil's not playing. Ozil hates the club. He hates the directors. You go to him, you're like, yo, can't we work it out? He's like, yo, I don't care about you. I want my money. I'm not going to play. I'm fine. Yeah, he got there with the whole mess, the morale's down. And
And he got an FA Cup trophy out of that. You know, you got to give him credit for that.
Even though he got the FA Cup trophy, the way United played Chelsea. That's how we got it. We won 1-0. We played on the back foot.
Exactly.
It's not pretty.
I think we also got lucky there as well because Pulisic was killing us in that game, but then he got injured and we're like, yes, okay, now we can.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That is what I'm saying. We what's this oak at Liverpool, the youngster, Minamino.
Yeah.
He's the
I hate
same
that guy because he comes on and scores against us every time. It's just so
That's my point. But he can't deliver week in, week out the way we expect Saka and Smith Rowe to deliver. So basically, Saka and Smith Rowe is our De Bruyne and our whoever they play on the wing, the Mahrez, and these guys have no experience, but we expect them to perform like those oaks every single week. And when I tell people, Minamino can't do it. Mason Mount don't play every game. Mason Mount doesn't play every game.
True.
Pulisic doesn't play every game.
True. Even Phil Foden, like you were saying yesterday, like he doesn't play every game.
He doesn't play every game. They don't need him. He's good he's going to be an amazing player. I like him, but I'm saying he doesn't have that to the Arsenal fan base and the Arsenal Twitter and the Arsenal. It's crazy. He has all of that. He has Tim Sherwood sitting in the box talking crap. I hate that guy. He has the British media. He has all of those guys on. Dude, are we nuts, bro? We're expecting these oaks to perform every single week. Because if they don't,
it's not possible. It's not possible, and I think you make a very valid point in pointing that out. It's not possible. I think the problem is, so this is what I always say. For many Arsenal fans, there's maybe like two types of fans that you would find that talk a lot on Twitter, right? There's people who have a lot of information. They're informed. They're able to look at the situation of the club, form an objective opinion, and share that properly analyzed opinion, right? Then there's people who are just talking based on their emotions, right? They don't like understand all of the different aspects of it, but they know what it feels like to win and what it feels like to lose, and they will talk based on how they're feeling, right? So for you, you can look at it and analyze and say, see, come on, we have a young squad. We can't expect them to perform it week in, week out. It's just the risk of having a young squad. And Sam Wenger used to say it all the time that you pay for player development with points. Right.
Whoa.
So if you want to use a young squad, you're going to lose a lot of points. You got to know that. That's the price to pay. Right. And that's just the absolute truth. You can't it's just what it is. Right. So you can make this objective analysis, but a lot of people talk based on feelings. Right. I hate to lose. And so when I lose, I don't care what has happened. Get the manager out. I won points, and I think the people who are going to enjoy this current Arsenal are the people who understand that we're rebuilding. We're rebuilding. You might not agree with the process of rebuilding because we've seen people like Chelsea build, and the way Chelsea builds is different from the way we're building. Chelsea will just, here's the stash of cash, go and buy whoever is popping across the world and bring them in, right? Look at what Lampard did in complete madness. I bought Ziyech, bought all of these players, Timo Werner, brought Kai Havertz, brought everybody at once, Thiago Silva here, Mendy there, just like bring everybody there, pop in, let's create a team. That's not what we're doing, right? We're signing players that sometimes nobody even knows, you get, and we're building from the ground up. So if you're ready to accept that fact and ready to accept that this might take some time, then yeah, right? And you're willing to trust the manager that has been charged with building that team, then you have more peace of mind, right? Because you go into every game knowing that this might be the game where we don't perform. Don't be too reactionary if we don't,
Yes.
Hope for the best, but if we don't, you got to understand that this is what's going on here. But I also just think that now that we have I think now the team is a bit more balanced. I think we have a decent team now, right? But they're not the best players in the league.
But what you said last night, I can see you don't like it. We have a decent team, but a predictable team, which you don't like.
It's predictable. I want us to. I think that because I want my team to be winning the bet. I want us to challenge.
I'm watching you last night, and you're going on. I'm like, dude, what else? There's no one else. Martinelli. It's all about emotional intelligence. And what I liked about, because I don't care about England. None of us care about England. Right? Yeah. We like the league. We don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always say, dude, show me one British manager that's doing well. No one.
No one. even the referees, the refs are like, oh, what kind of terrible refereeing is this?
It's the foreigners that make the league popular, not the Englishmen. Okay, cool. You got a big crop of players now in the last 2-3 years, but it's not the Englishmen. We don't watch the league for you. We were attracted to this league because of the Henrys and the Vieiras.
And do you know that this is probably why I want the Premier League is probably the biggest league. The Premier League is the only league that where you can find that kind of foreign influence, in my opinion, because there's so much money in the Premier League, right? You see clubs like Everton. I remember when Ancelotti was in Everton, brought Rodriguez, bought all these Dakore and all of these players that form the core of Everton now. You would see teams like Aston Villa spending money, buying Leon Bailey and Buendia and Emi Martinez, right? You see, mid-table teams in France don't have that kind of financial power. Because these are mid-table teams in England. Mid-table teams in Spain don't have that kind of money. There's no like mid-table team who is going to go and take a popping star from England. They can't. They just don't have that kind of money, right? But mid-table teams in England can go to Germany and buy a good player, can go to Spain and buy a good player, right?
But they got the money because of the TV deal, right? Now, why did they get the TV deal? They got the TV deal because Kanu had an Arsenal shirt on. And then you go in West Africa, you see a little boy playing with a makeshift soccer ball wearing a Kanu t-shirt. So,
exactly.
So the brand is global, like I said, not because of them, because of the foreign players.
Exactly.
That grew their brand, whether it be Shevchenko from Ukraine, whether it be an Italian, whether it be a Frenchman in Cantona,
France, exactly.
Henry, all those guys made the league global. Now their TV rights deal is 125 million or something, which means people are every team in the Premier League gets the money. So they have fun. And now the businessmen in the world, they sit back and they're like, I would like to own a team in England.
Exactly. So, everything is so foreign now. Like I heard, you hear a couple of like fans complaining, oh, all these people, like, this is like oil money from Saudi Arabia just come and own an English team.
and the Americans
are foreign people.
The Glazers plus the Cronkies, these are guys that never